What's the biggest unlock that changed your sex life forever?
Hmm. Biggest unlock that changed my sex life forever. I don't know, having sex. That was probably a big unlock. Um, yeah, dude. I mean, there's so many fucking things, bro. I like dirty talk was a huge one when I learned to do that. Ropes was another big one. Just learning to be dominant. Like, dude, I remember. Okay, this is probably my biggest unlock. I was with a girl. This is like when I first started game, and this was before like I was like pretty vanilla, bro. And this girl like wanted me to spank her, and I don't know if I've told this story on stream before, but I was like, okay, like I can spank a girl. This is fine. So she's like, spank me, and so I was like, I was like politely spanking her ass, and she's like, oh, harder, and I was like, oh, okay, and I was like, yeah, like I can do this, and she started to get like aggressively angry, like hit
Hmm.
me, and I was like, what? And she's like, I want you to hurt me like harder. And I was like, what in my head, I was like, there's something wrong with this fucking girl. I'm like, is she okay? Like, I wanted to like stop having sex and cuddle her and ask if everything's okay. And so like I lose my boner. I try to hit her a bit harder. And like I'm laying there, like not even embarrassed myself that I lost my heart. I'm just sitting there like, are you okay? Like, is there and she's like, yeah. And so this was a girl I ended up seeing for a little bit. And I started to understand, like, oh, okay, this is like a sexual kink. Like, this is not a girl that's like fucked up. This is not a girl that has like daddy issues. This is not like she was just a girl that wanted to explore like pain, different sensations, to feel small and submissive, to have a guy. Like, and so when I started to understand that, I was like, oh, damn. And then I started to realize how many girls were actually into this. And I was like, oh, shit. So yeah, that was probably like a big unlock for me. It's just the understanding. And then obviously, like, it was a big journey about, as I say, getting feedback and perfecting the
Sure.
craft.
I had almost an identical story, but instead of spanking, it was slapping.
Mm,
And she kept egging me on to go harder. And I mean, we know force. Like as men, we understand force. Like we know we can like popping a champagne bottle. We know how much to squeeze that cork so it doesn't go flying across the room and just goes pop into our hands. Like we know how to control force, generally speaking. And I gave her a good wallop by like my own standards. Her head like shifted to the side and everything. And she looks me dead in the eyes. She goes, harder. And this was like well early on into my kink career, I suppose. And it really threw me off. I was like, thinking to myself, I really just smacked you really good. And you're looking at me like that was nothing. Like, oh shit. But almost the exact same story. Although I didn't start seeing her though. She was just a one of those fuck buddies that shows up like twice a month. But I think I've got like two biggest like aha moments. And the first one was when I realized how oh geez, how to explain this? Like how malleable a woman's mind is. Once I realized, like with command and arousal and painting pictures in her mind, mantras, affirmations, and things like that, I was like, "Holy shit!" Now, of course, this is coming from a position of, where there's trust involved and things like that, and being open to you. But I didn't realize how far it could go, and now it's something that I even like surprise myself at this point where I'm just like, holy shit, like how much more can I shape this person's mind? So once I realized that that was just a possibility, that really woke me up, and I was like, wow, this is their minds are way more vast and much more fun to play with than their bodies ever could be. So that was one, and then the next one was I guess not like once I let go of thinking about what women were thinking about, I just stopped caring. And but not in like the dismissive, like you mean nothing sort of mentality. It wasn't that. It was just not putting it into my purview of awareness. Like I just didn't bother thinking about it anymore. And I just thought about more about like what I wanted, what I wanted to see, what I wanted to create. And that shifted so much for me when I stopped, I guess, pandering right? Trying to figure out what they liked, what they wanted to do, what motivated them, what the like, and putting so much attention on that. And what I realized is that when I focus more on myself, and then combined with understanding how well my commands worked and how deeply I could get into their minds, all of that stuff that I would have asked for beforehand just came to light. They would reveal these things to me, and without me having to say like, "Hey, tell me about this," or trying to figure it out in like a very like sneaky sort of way. So, yeah, so the just becoming more selfish, I guess, but just not in a dismissive sort of way. And then the power of my command and my imagination.
All right, beautiful.